All right, good evening, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. All right, we're going to give folks a few moments to jump on. I'm really happy to be back. It's been a couple of weeks since I've had an opportunity to get on the podcast, and really excited about tonight and sharing some conversational thoughts that I have. I've been meaning to share this for 2 weeks now, so yeah, I've been itching to go ahead and get this off of me and talk about it. And yeah, it's been 2 weeks where I've missed you, missed being on, conversating with you about some of the things that we've had a chance to talk about in the past. Tonight, this evening, we're going to talk about protect your energy like it matters. You know, protect your energy like it matters. So we're going to give a few more moments for folks to jump on and join us. Once again, thank you for joining me. If you haven't already, please go to my YouTube channel, Meaningful Conversations with Dr. Devin Oten, and subscribe, like, hit the bell so you're notified when we go live. Share it with your friends, your family, your sphere of influence, people you think would benefit from the content that we discuss on a weekly basis. And I really appreciate you being here with me and making this a great conversation to have. So once again, tonight we are talking about protect your energy like it matters. It's important for us to protect our energy. And boy, do I have some testimonies over the years about how important this topic is. So, tonight we're going to talk about boundaries, how do we focus, and how we create sustainability, how we sustain where we're going and what we're looking to do. All right, Brother Melvin, good to see you. Good to see you. I know you guys had a good time down in San Diego. I know we had a great district meeting down there. I've seen the pictures and the videos. Um, so welcome back. Welcome back. All right, let's go ahead and get started. Once again, you have joined me on Meaningful Conversations with Dr. Devin Oten. Once again, thank you for being here with me tonight. We are talking about protect your energy like it really matters. We're talking about the boundaries that we have to put in place. We have to create this level of focus to get to where we're going, which helps us create sustainability. So, after growth, we've talked about growth in this series. We've talked about movement. We've talked about discipline. We've talked about how doubt creeps in. We've talked about noise. You got to drown out the noise. But the real threat at this stage of what we've been talking about over the past couple of months is drain. The real threat is drain. People lose momentum not because they're incapable. We generally lose momentum because we're exhausted, we're distracted, or we are overextended. How many of you felt that? Maybe even recently. I can raise my hand and say, yes, I have felt that recently where I'm exhausted, I'm distracted, and or I'm overextended. Excuse me. Matter of fact, I was talking to my sister Stacy today, and we were talking about the stuff that I had going on, and she was like, "Yo, that's a lot of stuff that you're doing. You gotta slow down, you gotta recalibrate and refocus, right? Because in this season in which we live, man, you can get drained real easily, especially if you're on social media. If you watch the news a lot, there's just so much confusion going on. There's so much turmoil, if you will, going on, not only here locally, state, national, but internationally. Man, it can be exhausting. It can be draining. It can be very, very distracting. So if there's anything that I know I want to focus on tonight, it's this one thing. Not everything deserves your energy. Not everyone deserves your energy. I want you to think about that. Not everything, not everyone deserves your energy. You have to start prioritizing your energy, right? Because if you don't, you're going to give it away. You're going to allow it to drain out, and then you got to figure out how you are going to refill your cup, if you will, because you're pouring out so much. And a lot of times we're pouring out into things that are irrelevant, things that really don't matter, things that don't move the needle, people who cannot help you get to where you are going. You're wasting time, you're wasting energy, you're wasting resources, you're wasting effort, right? So you can be focused, you can be disciplined, and still lose progress if your energy is constantly being drained. In this episode of Meaningful Conversations, we explore why protecting your energy is essential to your growth, your maturity, your development. It's critical for clarity and your long term success, right? So not every conversation needs your attention. Those ear hustlers, everything. You got to hear everything. You got to hear what everybody is saying on social media, right? On the job at the water cooler. You literally have to hear everything that's going on. But not every conversation needs your attention. Not every opportunity that comes along requires your yes. Not every problem is yours to carry. How many of us have grown up, have been oriented, have you know been in situations, even at a very young age, where we are carrying so many burdens, carrying so many problems, right? Carrying out parents' problems, carrying out siblings' problems, carrying out grandparents, our aunts, uncles, our friends, our neighbors. We carrying all these different problems and all these different burdens that you are not meant to carry. And for my spiritual people, I mean, it's pretty clear. We are to take these burdens and bring them to the Lord because his yoke is easy and his burden is light. Yet instead of us taking our burdens and giving it to the Lord, we're keeping our burdens and we're taking on other people's burdens. You will burn out, you will lose your energy, you will lose your focus, your clarity, you'll be exhausted, right? You'll be distracted, and you won't be able to move forward in the things that you need to be moving forward in. So, not every problem is yours to carry. Not every opportunity that comes along, you have to say yes to. If you've been feeling stretched, distracted, or mentally drained, this conversation will help you reset your priorities and protect what matters most. Okay? Yes, I see my wife Michelle carrying it all. Yeah, you don't want to carry it all, okay? You get some give that stuff to the Lord, and also, work with your partners on helping to carry that load and carry that burden. So once again, welcome back. It's been 2 weeks. I've been out. Had a bit of a health scare. I say a bit of a health scare. No, I had a health scare here a couple of weeks ago. Thank God that I'm still here, that I'm recovering. Thank God for my wife being there at my side, making sure that I'm doing the things I need to be doing, getting to, my doctor's appointments and all of those things. And for you all of the support that you've given me, the calls, the emails, the text, just encouraging me and uplifting me and letting me know that you love me, you're concerned about me, and want nothing but the best for me. And that has really helped, right? Carry me to this place that I am now, where I'm feeling much better, doing better, and on the right track, right? So let me ask you something, as it's our custom to do so when we first get into the podcast. Where is your energy going right now? That's the question I have for you. I want you to think about that for a minute. Where is your energy going right now? Is it going into something that's not going to profit, something that's not going to push you forward, push you into your purpose, if you will, get you on the right track, right? Get you inspired, get you motivated. to do whatever it is that you know you should be doing in this hour, in this time, in this season. So take some time, think about that for a minute. I don't want to go too fast. Think about it. Where is your energy going right now? Some of us, our energy, man, I mean, it's we go on the job and we give the job 110%, 150%, 200%. We give it all of our energy and we have no energy for when we get home, right? For our spouse, for our children, for our place of fellowship, our place of worship, right? Because we have given so much energy to the job. Some of us, we given a lot of energy to things like, let's say, activism. And activism is a good thing, right? I was raised on activism, raised in activism, fighting, right? Uh, and sometimes we can put ourselves in position where we're putting too many eggs in that basket. You know, we have to pull back. We have to restore ourselves, right? Get rejuvenated and get back out in the fight. Some of us, we're putting too much energy into our children. A lot of times, grown children, putting all of this energy into them, right? And they are not reciprocating the energy that we're giving them, right? Because if they reciprocated that energy, that would uplift us and fill us up. It's like, okay, I put this work in with my child, and man, I'm seeing some results taking place right now. And this is by no means saying we are not to put energy into our children. But I come to tell you, as myself and many of you, as people of faith, man, we got to give them to the Lord, right? We got to give them to the Lord. He said, whatever that burden is on you, take that burden, give it to me. And he said, I will place my burden on you. And guess what his burden is? On you. He wants you to love mankind, love all creation. He wants you to lead those to Christ, live a life that is an example, right? Of Christ being here on earth, Christ in you, the hope of glory, as the scripture says. So think about where. If you've answered that, that's great. And you can put that in the chat and share that with us. Where is your energy right now? I'm not talking about your time. I'm talking about your energy, right? Of course, we have things that we have on a calendar, we have on a schedule, we have it timed out, things that we have to do. I'm not talking about your schedule. I'm not talking about time. I'm talking about your energy because you can have time and still feel drained. You can be productive and still feel exhausted. And if you're not careful, you'll give your best energy to things that don't deserve it. I'll say that again. If you're not careful, you will give your best energy to the things and to people who don't deserve it. So tonight we're talking about protecting that energy. So energy, not time, I've realized over the years, is your most valuable resource. Your energy, not your time, is your most valuable resource. You know, high performers manage energy, not just schedules. Okay. And I'm not just spiffballing or just talking here, right? I have a terminal degree in strategic leadership. And I've studied, right, what leadership looks like, what high achievement in leadership looks like. And what I learned is high performers, they manage their energy, not just their schedules. So you don't burn out from doing too much. That's not how you get burnt out. You don't get burnt out by doing too much. A lot of times when you active and doing things, that's actually energizing you. It's energizing your physical body, it's energizing your spirit, it's energizing your soul, which is your mind, your will, your emotions, because you're getting things done, you're accomplishing things. But what I've learned is you burn out from doing too much of the wrong things. I want you to get that. Write that down. You burn out by doing too many of the wrong things. Okay, not the things that you're doing that actually produce something, produce energy, actually give you energy, right? No, we get burnt out from doing too many things that are the wrong things, the things that we shouldn't even be doing at this time, at this hour, and in this season. One of the things that social media has created for society all over the world, 8, 9 billion people, is constant access creates constant drain. Before, uh, and I'm a part of the generation where I can remember where we went to work, we worked a number of hours, and we went home. No one called us after hours. We did, of course, certain jobs was on call and so on and so forth, especially, people in the medical field, things of that nature. But generally speaking, you did a number of hours, you did a job, you went home, you didn't have to worry about anybody calling you, but you didn't finish that day. You just roll that over to the next day. But now, constant access creates this constant drain of energy, right? There was a time where, hey, you were, socializing at a certain time with family, with friends. Then at a certain time, you turned it off, right? You would settle down, watch a little television, grab something to eat, relax with family, whatever the case may be. And that was it. But now, because of social media, it's constant. Every time that phone dings, okay, that's somebody who posted something on Facebook. That's a text that came in. That's the email that came in. And we have been conditioned in this country specifically to respond and to look at it 24/7. you know each of our phones, these smartphones, can tell you how much FaceTime you have on your phone. You should really pay attention to that app on your phone. It'll tell you, today you spent 2 hours FaceTime on the phone. You spent 10 hours FaceTime on the phone. We need to monitor that because it's draining us. That constant access to us creates this constant drain of our energy. Phones, emails, and people create this nonstop demand for our attention and for our energy. If everything has access to you, if everyone has access to you, nothing is protected, nothing is off limits. Okay, I see Michelle jumped in. She said, I was just thinking about all that I do at work, and it's never enough. Guess what? In a lot of cases, baby, it will never be enough. That's why we have to protect our energy. We have to protect ourselves. We do our very best, right? We give our best to the jobs that we're on, to the businesses that we're running. And at the end of the day, you and I are responsible for protecting our mental well being, our emotional well being, our physical well being, right? And what social media has done, it has over socialized us. We are over socialized in this realm and arena that we operate in, this atmosphere that we operate in right now. So saying yes too often leads to what I like to say is misalignment. You can be misaligned with people and with the things that you do if it has too much, whatever that is, whoever that is, if they have too much access to where you're saying yes to almost everything that's being asked or requested of you, you can get misaligned because overcommitment pulls you away from your priorities. When you get overcommitted in these different areas, it will put you in a place where it pulls you away from that which is most important in your life. So keep this in mind. Every yes that you say, every single yes that you say, it costs you something, right? Because if you're saying yes, you're saying yes to your resources. You're saying yes to your energy, your intellectual property. You're saying yes to something that's of value to you. Every time you say yes, right? So remember that. Every time you say yes, it costs you something. I've been hearing this now for the past several years, really big buzzword. boundaries. You got to have boundaries. You got to set boundaries. And I was like, man, this is an overused word. But as I thought about this and I was preparing to share and have this conversation with you all, boundaries help to protect your focus. You can be focused on a project. You may have a deadline. You need to get this done. And here it is, somebody calls you. And you know that when this person, this individual calls you, it's going to be some mess. And they're going to distract you from this positive energy that you have put into this project to finish this project at a certain time. And now you've taken time out of it to deal with someone who you know is going to drain your energy about something. So, what am I saying? Focus on, take that energy, focus on getting that project completed, and call that person back. And you may not need to call them back right now, today. It may be tomorrow or the day after. Prioritize that. How is that going to help you keep your energy, right? Keep your focus, keep your clarity. So, what I've learned is that clear limits, when you have clear limits with people, whether it's at work, in a community, at home, whatever the case may be, you create space for what really matters the most. When you create those limits, what you're doing is you're saying, you know what? I'm putting aside space, time, energy for what is most important for me and my family and my purpose at this time. So boundaries aren't selfish. Boundaries aren't selfish. Boundaries are strategic. I'll say that again. Boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are strategic. I'll say it again. Boundaries are not selfish. Boundaries are strategic. So each week, I have a faith centered perspective on the topics that we discuss, and even strength. The strongest of us require rest and renewal, right? You probably heard that scripture in Isaiah. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall walk and not get weary. They shall crawl and not faint. I know I'm not quoting that correctly. I know I'm not quoting that correctly. And please forgive me. I got some memory issues that I'm dealing with right now. But you guys know the text that I'm talking about. So even strength requires, rest and renewal. You can't pour effectively into something or into someone if you are constantly empty. I'll say that again. You can't pour effectively or efficiently into something or someone if you are constantly empty yourself. Now, before we close out, I got a few questions. I always have some questions to challenge us to think about, consider. And when I give you these questions, please answer them for yourself. Don't just say, oh, it's a question. No, think about them and answer those questions for yourself. And the reason why I ask those questions is because it causes us to stop and reflect and consider, wait a minute, I could be doing this differently. Maybe I didn't attempt this initially in the right fashion. I need to reconsider how to go about taking care of this problem issue or whatever it is that you're dealing with. So the first question, and I asked this earlier, what is currently draining your energy? So you have that question already. Question number two, where do you need stronger boundaries? You may have some strong boundaries in certain areas, but in other areas you do not have strong boundaries, right? And let me give you an example. You may have strong boundaries at work. You don't accept personal calls when you're at work. You're not getting into that. You're focused. Uh, but then your boundaries may be weak when it comes to your relationship. You allow people to speak into your relationship, have influence in your relationship, right? That's a weak boundary. You got to strengthen that boundary. You got to say, hold up, hold up. You know, what's going on? Me and my spouse, we got to work through this. We got to figure this out. I don't need people constantly coming in trying to give me advice about my relationship, right? You may need to strengthen that boundary. Are you following me? Okay. So we do have some strong boundaries in certain areas, and then in other areas, those boundaries are not as strong. That fence is not as strong. It got some chinks in the armor. We got to fix those chinks. So where do you need to be stronger? Your boundaries need to be stronger. Question number three: what have you said yes to that you should reconsider? Now, to me, this is a pretty important question because it's okay. Sometimes we get emotional and we'll say something out of emotion. Yes, I will do that. Yes, I can do that. But when you stopped and thought about it, it's like, wow, I got this to do, that to do. I really overspoke. And instead of saying that, we'll just stress ourselves out to the end, drain our energy, trying to get those things done that we said yes to, that it was not the right time or season or hour for us to say yes to it. Okay. And that's okay. Go back and say, hey, look, I know I said yes. Please forgive me for that. But after further consideration, man, I got this going on. I got that going on. And I just don't have the time to do it right now. But I promise you, I will get to it by such and such date. I will make this a priority. Or it may be a situation where you just don't have the bandwidth at all. You may say, hey, I can't do it. Maybe there's some people you can recommend to help out with whatever that yes was. But it's okay. You said yes, but now you have to reconsider. You just don't have the bandwidth. You're exhausting your energy. You're going to be drained. You're going to lose clarity. You're going to lose focus. Number four, and please jump in if you have anything to share. I see my wife jumping and say, "You got this, Doc." If you have something to share, please jump in the chat so we can share that and learn from what you have to share as well. Number four, what activities do you do right now that actually restore your energy? Think about that. What do you do right now that actually restores your energy? For some of you, it may just be a nice, crisp walk with the sun shining in your face, getting some sun, some vitamin D, and getting out and getting those muscles going, getting those bones to popping, right? And just get movement going. That may give you energy. You know, it may be certain things that you like to do at work that give you energy. Maybe it's getting on teams for those meetings and being able to share some of the things that you've learned and you believe the team can benefit from. I mean, there's a plethora of different things we can look at. Just a couple things I wanted to throw out there, but find what those things are that really restore you, that give you a boost, that give you energy, give you inspiration, give you motivation. Figure out what that is and do it, right? Don't avoid it. Do it. You know what it is that gives you energy. Go and do those things. And the last question: what would change right now? What would change if you protected your energy more intentionally? What would change? If you intentionally right now protected your energy, what do you think would change? I can tell you one thing that could change is that blood pressure. Okay. All that stress, all that pressure, all those yeses you said yes to, stressing you out, pressure is up. If you become more intentional, maybe that'll get that blood pressure down, right? Eating habits, right? Being more intentional, protecting that time where we can get out and work out and exercise and get movement going. We got to be more intentional. We got to protect that energy with intentionality. That's another buzzword we've been hearing the past few years a lot. Intentionality. Yes. Please forgive my voice if it sounds a little different. Haven't really fully recaptured my voice here. So thank you once again for joining me tonight. If you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, Meaningful Conversations with Dr. Devin Oden, please go out and do that tonight. Make sure you hit the bell so you're notified when we go live, when we drop some content, some videos. And make sure you make sure you share our content. We want the algorithm, of course, to pick it up and share it with other people so they can join in and enjoy this content as well. And remember this as we close out, you don't need to do everything. You don't need to do everything. Oh, man, I used to feel like I had to do everything, and that thing still creeps back up on me, right? Still jumps back up on me from time to time. Excuse me. You feeling like you have to do everything. You don't have to do everything. You don't need to be everywhere. Okay, I just can't be everywhere. Not right now. Not the season that I'm in right now. I cannot be everywhere. And you don't need to carry everything. You do not need to carry everything. Oh, I see my friend, Pastor Derek White, has jumped on. Let me see what he said. Okay, thank you for sharing your wisdom. I'm setting boundaries and managing my energy to move into the things that God have for me and my faith. Amen, Pastor. Thank you for sharing that. Yes. So, you don't have to carry everything, but you do need to protect your energy. You got to protect your energy. You have to do it, okay? Other people are not going to do it for you. People on job, they're not going to protect your well-being, your mental well-being, all of those things, your family well. They're not. That's not their interest, and it's not supposed to be their interest in the grand scheme of things, right? Their interest is to get a job done, right? Um, but it's your job to protect your energy because what you are building requires your energy. What you are doing, your purpose, your goals, your vision, what you are doing is for you, your family. A wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. We're talking generations here. What you are building requires that you protect your energy. So, once again, thank you for joining me tonight in this meaningful conversation. Until next time, stay focused, stay faithful, and keep becoming who you're called to be. All right. Love you all. Have a good night. I'll see you next week.